Seneca Falls Convention.
The Seneca Falls Convention was the first women's rights convention in the United States history. It was a 2-day-long convention and was a turning point for women's suffrage.
Who started it?
It was started by Elizabeth Cady Stanton and Lucretia Mott, and they met at the World Anti-Slavery Convention in London, and they were kicked off of the floor of the convention because they were women. Anyway, Stanton and Mott met with 3 other women, Martha Wright, Jane Hunt, and Mary Ann McClintock, and they met near Stanton's house in Seneca Falls. They wrote a public announcement and put it in the Seneca County Courier announcing the convention.
We need to fix this problem because it's a pain in my ass and I can't do
I'm
anything.
hold a convention at the chapel. If we make an announcement, women are bound to show up.
Okay, Lucretia, you write the announcement and I'll come up with a few talking points to share at the convention. Meet me at Wesleyan Chapel on July 19th.
So the women departed and came up with speeches for the convention. Little did they know this was going to be a turning point for women's rights. On July 19, 1848, Stanton, Mott, Hunt, and Wright were met by 200 eager women to fight for their rights.
Holy
Cow.
Oh my god, Lucretia, there's so many people here. This was such an unexpected turnout.
So many of these women were ready to fight and protest for their rights. Like, it wasn't even funny. Like, bro, imagine the lines to the bathroom. Super long.
We are going to read the Declaration of Sentiments and Grievances that we drafted a few days ago.
They spoke and discussed social, civil, religious conditions and rights for women.
We hold these truths to be self-evident that all men and women are created equal.
We have met here today to discuss our rights and wrongs, civil and political, and not, as some have supposed, to go into the detail of social life alone. We do not propose to petition the legislature to make our husbands just, generous, and courteous, to see every man at the head of the cradle, and to clothe every woman in male attire. But we are assembled to protest against a form of government existing without the consent of governed, to declare our right to be free as man is free, to be represented in the government which are taxed to support, to have disgraceful laws as give man the right to chastise and imprison his wife, to take the wages she earns, the property which she inherits, and in case of separation, the children of her love. Laws which make her the mere dependent of his bounty. It is to protest against such unjust laws as these that we are assembled today, and to have them, if possible, erased from our statute books, deeming them a shame and a disgrace to a Christian republic in the 19th century. We have met to uplift woman's fallen divinity upon an even pedestal with man's, and strange as it may seem to many, we now demand our right to vote according to the declaration of government under which we live. This right no one pretends to deny. We need not prove ourselves equal to Daniel Webster to enjoy this privilege, for the ignorant Irishman in the ditch has all the civil rights he has. We need not prove our muscular power equal to this same Irishman to enjoy this privilege, for the most tiny, weak, ill-shaped stripling of 21 has all the civil rights of the Irishman. We have no objection to discuss the question of equality, for we feel that the weight of argument lies wholly with us, but we wish the question of equality kept distinct from the question of rights. For the proof of the one does not determine the truth of the other. While men in this country have the same rights, however they may differ in mind, body, or state. The right is ours. The question now is, how shall we get possession of what rightfully belongs to us? We should not feel so sorely grieved if no man who had not attained the full stature of Webster, Clay, Van Buren, or Garrett Smith could claim the right of elective franchise. But to have drunkards, idiots, horse-racing, rum-selling rowdies, ignorant foreigners, and silly boys fully recognized, while we ourselves are thrust out from all the rights that belong to citizens. It is too grossly insulting to the dignity of a woman to be longer quietly submitted to. The world has never yet seen a truly great and virtuous nation, because in the degradation of women, the very fountains of life are poisoned at the source. It is vain to look for silver and gold from mines of copper and lead. It is the wise mother that has the wise son. So long as your women are slaves, you may throw your colleges and churches to the winds. You can't have scholars and saints so long as your mothers are ground powder between the upper and nether millstones of tyranny and lust. How seldom now is a father's pride gratified, his fond hopes realized in the budding genius of his son. The wife is degraded, made the mere creature of caprice, and the foolish son is heaviness to his heart. Truly are the sins of the fathers visited upon the children to the third and fourth generation. God in his wisdom has so linked the whole human family together that any violence done at one end of the chain is felt throughout its length. And here too is the law of restoration. As in woman all have fallen, so in her elevation shall the race be recreated. We do not expect our path will be strewn with flowers of popular applause, but over the thorns of bigotry and prejudice will be our way. And on our banners will beat the dark storm clouds of opposition from those who have entrenched themselves behind the stormy bulwarks of custom and authority, and who have fortified their positions by every means, holy and unholy. But we will steadfastly abide the result. Unmoved, we will bear aloft. Undauntedly, we will unfurl to the gale, for we know that the storm cannot rend from it a shred, that the electric flash will but more clearly show to us the glorious words inscribed upon it, equality of rights. Thank you.
The convention lasted 2 days. On the second day, even men were invited. Seriously. Hey, Frederick Douglass! Ugh, men.
We should get back to work. I'm sure Frederick is around here somewhere. Elizabeth, that was a fantastic speech. How in the world did you come up with that?
The Seneca Falls Convention also passed 12 resolutions, 9 of which were passed unanimously. The only one to meet opposition was the 9th one, which talked about the right to vote. After a lengthy debate, Frederick Douglass sided with Stanton on this, and the resolution was passed.
Thanks, Freddie. I can always count on you to stick with me.
The convention was a success and was followed by an even larger convention 2 weeks later in Rochester, New York. After that, national women's rights conventions were held annually. The talk of women's suffrage spread, and the convention was subjected to public ridicule, and many people no longer supported it. But in the end, the convention was successful, as we can see now, with equal rights for both men and women, and the 19th Amendment, which was passed in 1920. Good job, ladies.